Hello, my name is Amelia Rodriguez, and I'm going to talk today a little bit about building relationships in higher education. To start with, I'm going to talk about the importance of building trusting relationships between the instructor and student. I think that it's a little bit more difficult to establish these types of trusting relationships in the online setting. There are a lot of studies that show that when students have a face to see and a voice to hear, it's easier for them to connect to an instructor. They need to know that their instructor cares about them and wants them to be successful in their classroom. Dreas and Griffiths have created studies that have shown that instructors who include personalized video content in their classroom create effectively and efficiently a quasi-relationship with their online students. An example of this would be weekly videos going over assignments, anything so that the student in the online environment gets to see the instructor's face and hear their voice. Practices for building relationships and rapport with your learners. One of the things that I do for my online students is I have found it to be successful that I have teaching English composition, freshman composition. My students have to write 3 papers throughout a semester. So what I do is right from the get-go, in the syllabus, in the course announcements, I put it all over the place. I email them. I have 3 class meetings that are optional because it is an online class. I give them the dates and the time, and usually the very first one is like the second week of class was when I'm introducing the very first writing assignment. So this is what I do. The first one is the first writing assignment. That's the first class meeting. The second one will be to introduce the second writing assignment, and so on. In these meetings, I give them the opportunity. I first of all introduce myself. This is oftentimes the first time they get to see me other than something else I do. But I introduce myself. I start talking and going just like I would in any of my in-person classes. I give them the opportunity to ask questions. I explain any assignments, little assignments that build up to that big writing assignment. So the first time I noticed that maybe I have 2 or 3 students attend, I record it. So in case any students aren't able to come, I then post the recording. They see the questions. A lot of students with special needs or accommodation, they like to attend this because they need that explanation. By the second time, I have more students attending, and usually by the final class meeting, almost all of my students attend. I have found this to be very, very beneficial. It kind of opens the lines of communication. I notice I start getting more messages and questions from my online students after doing this. So I feel that this is a really good strategy to help the online learners in my classes. Next, I'd like to talk about how to learn the needs and interests of your adult learners. I found there's a paper, Building Community in the Classroom, where Haiti in 2000 states that showing interest in the lives of students is incredibly powerful among the adult learner community at the university level, the community college level, but it also can be effective for all levels. What it states is that providing an outlet for students to share photos or stories about their spouses, children, parents, etc., is really, really beneficial. I do this for my online class. I start with a video of myself, basically introducing or showing them pictures of myself, of my children, of my pets, my hobbies. I love gardening, so I show them pictures of my plants, which I did a lot of during COVID. And even sometimes I show them pictures of if I went on a cool vacation, like when I went to Machu Picchu, I had some pictures of that. I also shared trips and conferences with colleagues when they recognize other teachers, just basically stuff to let them know who is their teacher. Then in that first week, I have them create a video, an introduction video of themselves as well. And then they share it. And it just really helps me to see and get to know my students right from the get-go, attach some names to some faces in the online community. I have found that it really helps me, and it helps them build community as well. Learning about my students through writing assignments. I also do this right from the get-go. The first assignment is a scholarship essay where they have to address 3 writing prompts. The first prompt is basically, please describe in 7 to 10 sentences your financial need for the upcoming academic year. The second one is, please describe in 7 to 10 sentences your academic goals and plans for achieving them. And the final one talks about life experiences, employment, extracurricular activities, clubs, organizations. That essay teaches me so much about my students, what they're interested in, what their hopes and dreams are. It helps me to kind of keep an eye out. Being a full-time faculty, I get to know about experiences and opportunities around campus, and it helps me to connect students to those opportunities that they may not know about, and maybe I wouldn't have known about had I not had this writing assignment. The next thing I think is very important for us to talk about is addressing different viewpoints in the classroom setting. I think this is one of the very important tasks that we as instructors of higher education have to tread lightly with, but it's very important. I think that a lot of times students, I think of myself when I went to higher ed, I was very sheltered. When I went to the university, I really didn't know outside of my circle how life could be so different. This is the first time I myself ever encountered people who had different viewpoints than myself. So I think about that in me, how important that was for me. I then try to do that, be a model for my students, and I purposely create opportunities to engage them in discourse where they are expected, have to see and deal with different viewpoints and how to deal with them respectfully. I think this is one of the things that happens a lot in higher education. Our students don't have these experiences a lot of times. One of the best practices for facilitating these types of discussion is to make uncertainty safe. Students who like to see the world in a black and white may emotionally resist intellectual growth, so it is crucial to help them learn how to deal with ambiguity. There are several methods for doing this. First of all, as teachers, we have to accept all viewpoints, especially those that are unpopular. Make it clear to students that critical thinking involves embracing complexity rather than simplifying problems. Explain that despite what we can feel, it feels like frustration and uncomfortable in class discussions. We're aiming, as instructors, aiming to expand their thinking rather than reach their consensus. Bean and Melzer talk a lot about this. The instructor has to demonstrate this type of attitude in the classroom. The burden of modeling respect and openness to different viewpoints is on the instructor. Okay. Now, finally, applying Christian worldview by supporting culture and diversity. I myself, I'm in a public institution, but I think of this is how I address it and how I put it forward. I obviously cannot talk about Jesus Christ in my classrooms, but I feel that I try to act as Jesus Christ would. Jesus was a loving, non-judgmental being. He teaches us this over and over in examples in the New Testament. Following his teachings, I do my best to do the same as he did. I accept my students for who they are without judgment. Differences are beautiful opportunities to learn something new. I believe that I model this attitude for my students through my actions and my ways of being. And I hope that this I addressed everything that we needed to in this assignment. Thank you so much.